Hello. I'd like to start with saying hello to all those people who will probably watch this video. I guess it would be online in near future. So hello, everybody. So my name is Vahid Farrahi. I am from the University of Oulu, and my presentation topic today is patterns of accumulation of sedentary time and breaks and cardiometabolic risk in adult clustering analysis approach. Well, I'd like to start this presentation with showing the current guidelines for physical activity in adults. Adults are currently encouraged to be engaged in 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity each week. They are also recommended to be engaged in some muscle strengthening activity during the week, such as exercising with weights. We have now some evidence to suggest that sedentary time could also be detrimentally associated with several health indicators, including cardiometabolic risk markers. However, the existing evidence for the health risk of sedentary time is still insufficient, and therefore we cannot currently suggest any time-based recommendation for sedentary time. We still don't know what would be the time-based limit for the daily amount of sedentary time required to minimize the cardiometabolic health in adults. There is evidence to suggest that breaking up sedentary time with physical activity bouts could modify the detrimental effects on cardiometabolic risk markers caused by sedentary behaviors in adults. However, it is still unclear when sedentary time should be interrupted before it becomes detrimental to cardiometabolic health. We even know less about the length and intensity of interruptions required to minimize the detrimental cardiometabolic health effects caused by prolonged sedentary behavior or prolonged sedentary bouts. In this study, we therefore apply the clustering analysis approach on accelerometer estimated variables characterizing how sedentary time was accumulated and interrupted in a large population-based sample of adults. We aim to identify, characterize, and compare participants according to distinct patterns of accumulation of sedentary time and breaks. We then investigated how these drive patterns are associated with cardiometabolic outcomes. We had a range of cardiometabolic outcomes, including adiposity level, blood glucose and insulin, and cholesterol level. For this study, our study material was Northern Finland birth cohort 1966. NFBC 1966 is a longitudinal one-year birth cohort, originally including all babies in Northern Finland whose expected year of birth was in 1966. For this study, for the present study, we used the data from the latest follow-up, which was performed at age 46. And the latest follow-up included device-based measurement of daily activities for 2 weeks with a waist-worn accelerometer. In total, about 4,500 cohort members had valid accelerometry data. And from their valid accelerometry data, what we did was that we identified all the sedentary bouts lasting for more than 1 minute. And in between each 2 consecutive sedentary bouts, we identified all the non-sedentary bouts, as are shown here. And then we computed some variables describing how sedentary breaks in between 2 consecutive sedentary bouts were performed. These variables included, for example, the amount of light intensity physical activity or moderate to vigorous intensity physical activity which were performed within the breaks. In total, we had 65 variables. characterizing how sedentary time was accumulated and interrupted. We used k-means clustering algorithm to do the profile analysis. And after that, we did linear regression analysis to determine the association of accumulation patterns with cardiometabolic outcomes. We found 4 distinct groups. We named these groups based on the accumulation patterns of sedentary time and breaks. These groups were named as couch potatoes, prolonged sitters, shortened sitters, and breakers. For example, couch potatoes had the highest level of sedentariness. Couch potatoes are marked with circles in this figure. They had the highest level of sedentary time among the population and the shortest sedentary breaks in the population, as are marked here with circle on this figure. Prolonged sitters accumulated their sedentary time in long bouts of larger than 15 to 30 minutes. Shortened sitters compared to couch potatoes and prolonged sitters accumulated sedentary time in relatively shorter bouts and performed more physical activity in between their sedentary bouts. Breakers had the lower level of sedentariness in the population compared to couch potatoes and prolonged sitters. Breakers, for example, are here marked with the squares. They had the lowest level of sedentariness in the population, and they also more frequently interrupted their sedentary breaks. As we can see here, they had uh, they had the, they more frequently uh, uh, interrupted their sedentary times. The association analysis revealed that compared to couch potatoes, which had the unhealthiest activity behavior among this population, shortened sitters and breakers both had favorable percentage differences in cardiometabolic outcome. These differences ranged from about 2% to 23% lower values depending on the outcome and group. We observe no apparent differences between prolonged sitters and couch potatoes. Therefore, the conclusions of this study were that avoiding uninterrupted sedentary bouts of longer than 15 to 30 minutes by breaking them frequently with short light physical activity bouts may be beneficial for cardiometabolic health in middle-aged adults. In addition to light intensity physical activity bouts, some further inclusion of a spontaneous moderate to vigorous intensity physical activity within the sedentary breaks may confirm some additional health benefits. However, longer sedentary breaks alone in individuals who are accumulating their sedentary time in prolonged bouts might not be enough to avoid the potential detrimental changes caused by prolonged sedentary time on cardiometabolic risk scores. And with this, I'd like to conclude this presentation and thank everybody who will watch this presentation probably in near future. Thank you very much.